Like, it's almost a trendy thing to do, Josh, at this stage on Twitter. You know, and I don't bite on Twitter. But
You're biting in the video. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel in association with Racing TV. We're in the same room. We've moved in together. We're settled in London. You moved over. How were your first couple of days?
Yeah, pretty good. Just trying to get to the ropes of London at the moment. Can't find anywhere, to be honest. Everywhere is so far away. You have to walk, you have to run. Did my first run this morning as well in Battersea Park, which wasn't too bad. Steady run. One for handicaps down the line.
It's coming across like you've just been quite good and healthy whilst you've been here. Any big nights out?
Yeah, well, I suppose we had to, you know, find what the local nightlife was at. You were trying to plan out this. It was like Christian Williams really trying to plot out a gamble. It was 18 months worth this night out was made of. But the nap did land. We were in Infernos on our first Saturday.
That's nothing to be proud of. But thank you very much for being patient over that couple of week period. We've had issues with Wi-Fi. We still don't have Wi-Fi. God knows how this video is going to go up tomorrow morning, but we will figure it out. And if we've uploaded it, then we have. So miracle work.
Fingers crossed. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do have plenty of cool things, hopefully, in this video for you. We're going to be touching on our Cheltenham Ante Post selections, as well as adding 2 for me, 1 for you. We're going to be caught up and level at that point, as this is going to be episode 4 of our Cheltenham Ante Post series. We've got some best bets for this weekend coming up, but we will reflect on the big performances over the Christmas period. One thing, 2 videos a week from now on, between now and the Cheltenham Festival. Very exciting.
Yeah, very much so. We're layering up. I think that was one of the big things of me obviously coming over. One of the big advantages was that we were going to be able to do, I think some videos we're going to do similar to the same style, because I've got a little desk in my room over there. My desk is a little bit smaller than yours, and my room a little bit smaller, but we've also got this setup as well, which gives us
you
big
don't sound bitter about that at all.
No, I got absolutely done in. But anyway, these things happen. You got it over the line. It was a deadline day deal to get this apartment over the line, and you did it. You were Harry Redknapp on the big day. You were in the car, wheeler dealer, and then handshakes over the line.
It wasn't an Odin Wingy situation where we had to go driving back home. Yeah, really looking forward to it. I'm actually going to be on a preview night for Cheltenham on the 9th in the south of Birmingham. I will put all details for that down below. I don't think it's a massive venue, but it's a great panel, and tickets will be on sale very soon. So if you do want to come along, please do so. We're also going to be doing lots of content on LTR Plus with these mics. The new setup is going to be extremely entertaining, hopefully, and informative. So do subscribe to that if you haven't already. You can do that by clicking join on our channel. We've got a Cheltenham preview night specifically for LTR Plus members. It will be announced very soon. It might have guests on it, and it will be the week before Cheltenham. You do not want to miss that one bit. And then, other than that, like this video if you do enjoy it, subscribe if you haven't already, and do get your comments down below. But let's talk about the Christmas racing. And there's only one starting point, isn't there? One starting point. Bravemansgame and Harry Cobden lift the King George. It was a plan that I've been putting together. Well, Paul Nicholls has been putting...
You put it together. Do you train the horse for the first couple of years?
I sat down with Paul and said, look, a very smart horse winning his maiden hurdle at Exeter. I was there for that. And jumps well. I think he could go to the Corto Star, and then next year we'll go to the King George. And guess what happened?
It happened?
It happened. Could not believe it. I must admit, coming around the bend, well, obviously with the drama that happened through the race and Alham Presse jumping out to the left wasn't ideal, but coming around the bend, when Bravemansgame was off the bridle, I thought, here we go. Not this. And I've never been so nervous before a race. I didn't talk for 10 minutes, literally couldn't talk at all. But he found plenty, and he ran away, an impressive winner. I absolutely love that horse. He is my favourite horse in training, and what a day. What a day. My Christmas was just made.
Yeah, well, what was your Christmas day like? Because sometimes, to be honest, I get nervous sweats on Christmas Day, because Stephen's Day, for me, over the last couple of years, has been the biggest make or break day of the entire season, because some of my friends from school would go up to Leopardstown or something like that, and I've been lifted out of the place before, and I've also been heckled out of the place for people throwing stones. So therefore, my Christmas Day at times ruined. I'm there up at night, can't sleep, can't do anything. What were you like before Bravemansgame?
The one thing on my mind mind was just jump and travel. And Laurent Pressé isn't that good. I was trying to convince myself he's not that good. And it was a great performance from him, I actually thought, in second. He was a long way clear of the third before he came down at the last. Maybe it wasn't his best showing, but Bravemansgame got the job done. Harry Cobden, Paul Nicholls, a dream team. And it was what a day. What a day it was. But looking at his future targets, they're going straight to the Gold Cup, not even an entry in the Ryanair.
I like that.
No need to be faffing around with that. Do you think he's got a chance in a Gold Cup?
I think he's got more of a chance than some people are giving him. I'm not going to say I'm backing him at the moment or anything like that. I personally believe if Galopin Des Champs stays, which I do believe he will, he'll go on and win the race.
I agree.
But at the same stage, between Galopin Des Champs and Bravemansgame in the betting, there's probably 5 or 6 horses who I'd be a little bit lukewarm on, to be honest, the rest of them. I think other horses maybe didn't enhance their claims as much as he did. You know, when Bravemansgame, people have it in their head that he won't suit Cheltenham. He's only ran there once. He was a third in a Ballymore. Yes, he was well beaten. He was well beaten by Bob Ollinger, who at the time we were kind of led to believe. And
a superstar at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And things haven't gone right. And unfortunately, you know, these things can happen. Gallard de Menil, he's near on favourite for the 3 Mile Novice Chase. He's a good horse in his own right. So he wasn't disgraced. And his form is just getting better and better in terms of they seem to be giving him that little bit more time in between races. I think they've noticed that he's probably that little bit better fresh. And it's those little 2-3 percenters that could maybe get you to come second or third in a Gold Cup. And I think he's a bigger price than what he should be. And I would just be a little bit more positive about him than, like say, for instance, for me, loads of people seem to be incredibly excited by that run from Statler at Tramore, for example. And Statler was a horse I was very keen on for the Gold Cup as an outsider. I thought the run at Tramore was awfully disappointing. I just had it in my head that he has to go and win that race. If he's got any chance of winning the Gold Cup, you know, not dissimilar to Album Photo, you have to win at Tramore, and he didn't. And even though Paul Townend maybe gave him a bit much to do, he flew the last, got ahead, and was out-battled with 50 yards to go, and that would have been a red flag for me.
Yeah, with Bravemansgame, I've never said he was a Gold Cup horse, but I do think if it was a Gold Cup, a similarly run Gold Cup to last year, where they went at Cruel and Apultard, the speed horse in the race, went and won impressively, I think it would suit him because he could get in a good jumping rhythm, which we suspect he would do anyway, and he would have a better chance of staying. I think Galopin Des Champs is the horse to beat, but I would back Bravemansgame to confirm the form with Laurent Pressé. I just think he's possibly a better horse, a stronger horse. He's a big frame, and he just seems to have matured into that at the moment. Conflated won the Savills. Any chance in a Gold Cup?
I suppose he's probably a similar chance to Bravemansgame. Does he have a chance of potentially running into the frame? Maybe so, if things went his way. He jumped really economically, really well. I know he's taken a tumble or two in his time, but his jumping in the main is good. You know, he does what he has to do. You know, he's not a big flamboyant jumper by any means. You know, it was a very good tactical ride from Jack Kennedy. It's not great form in the book, to be honest. He's beaten Kemboy, Fury Roads in there. It's not a great race. French Dynamite was throwing punches at them, you know, at the back of the last as well before not quite seeing it out. So how you can take that form, I'm not so sure. If he was mine, I'd maybe keep him to the Irish Gold Cup, see whether you could win that and maybe onto a Gold Cup then. But again, horses are not going to want to queue up to run against Galopin Des Champs, and the Irish Gold Cup could well be his next target.
I'd love to see that. The 3 Mile division outside of Galopin Des Champs looks very open, but obviously there's question marks about him staying. Another division that we saw, I'm not sure plenty of clues is the right way, but we learnt more about it, was the Ballymore division, the 2.5 mile novice hurdlers. And Hermes Hélène has probably done the least wrong out of all those at the head of the market, which is probably why he finds himself there. He won the Shallow impressively. Not sure it was the deepest race in the world, but he got the job done well. How do you rate his chances going towards Cheltenham?
Look, he does have a chance, and you're probably being a little bit harsh saying he's done the least wrong. Like, he's done a lot right. He's gone to Cheltenham, he's gone to Newbury, he obviously went to Stratford as well. And
but that's what I'm saying, yeah, maybe least wrong. That's the starting point.
Perhaps so, but at the same stage, he won by 30 lengths, you know. And he's jumped really well in the main all the way. He seems to travel very sweetly and finds a fair bit. That shallow hurdle form is absolutely dog rough, though. Unfortunately, you know, when you kind of crunch the numbers, sort of thing. Joey Machan wasn't travelling after 10 yards. Real shame. He's now gone to England twice in his career, both times I think with connections expecting him to run well, and both times it's been an absolute, you know, monsoon of rain on the morning of these races. It happened in the same in the Champion Bumper, and he just hates that type of ground. I know people are saying, well, he came third in a maiden hurdle at Wexford on heavy ground. Well, he wasn't really put into that race, to be honest. So, you know, it's a hard one to judge. So he ran no race. The Skelton horse went off like a miler and clearly was never going to get home. So the race fell apart completely. And do you really want to be taking the price you're getting on Hermes now when they're just... I'd be awfully disappointed if there's not a lurker from somewhere.
Yeah, but quite possibly. The one thing I would say in favour of Hermes Allen is you look at Stage Star and Bravemansgame, he won the shallow hurdle before for Paul Nicholls, and I do think he's a neater type. He's smaller. He's probably more of a hurdler than those two. And to be fair, I've semi thought about backing Hermes Allen for the Stayers hurdle next year. I know Nicholls likes chasers, but he doesn't seem that big frame of a horse that's going to go to the King George one day. He might be, but I'm not sure he's that. He's more of a small Frodon, which obviously he didn't win the Stayers hurdle. Just an idea
I would give you 4-1 that he stays hurdling next year.
A 4-1 he stays hurdling. You think he definitely goes chasing?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll find out, won't we? The big talking point in the 2.5 mile division, or the big talking horse, was Grange Clare West, who was very disappointing in the Lawlers of Naas. It was won by stablemate Champ Kiely, who beat Irish Pointer Gordon Elliott's. Do we think Champ Kiely is that one that we should just be saying he's going to go and win the Ballymore? Yeah. You know, he's a Grade 1 winner. Willie Mullins.
Yeah, no, it's very funny for all that, you know, that I'm lukewarm, I suppose.
I agree.
I thought he really blotted his copybook in the Royal Bond. He was a bit mulish. He was too keen. Seems to want to get things his own way out in front. All of his hurdle wins have been out in front. You know, he was able to dictate in a married man's gallop at Naas there. Danny Mullins having an absolute freebie and nicked another one from the front. And I don't like, you know, bashing jockeys and all that, but in general, Danny Mullins seems to do this every week over in Ireland. You know, there has to come a stage where there's a little bit of cop, especially in these big races. Grange Clare West, you were never happy on him. And
you called it a long way out.
Yeah, I did. You know, we were watching it together, and I thought really with a mile to go, certainly 5-6 furlongs to go,
he won't be winning from there.
No, well, he just didn't look to be. He was going back in the field, and when Townend's on a good one, Townend's always in position A. You know, he's a fantastic jockey, and also I think he's just got that kind of big dog complex in the jockey room over in Ireland, though, that he can kind of near on demand position A. And he was in position A. He was in third, just in on the rail, you know, and you look to just coming in, and like he was back in sixth then when they jumped the last, which is usually 3 out, and you're there going, well, he doesn't want to be there, you know. And he had to then go out and try and chase this winner, probably sacrifice finishing third or fourth as a result. But he seemed to have excuses post-race, but certainly for the likes of myself and others that have backed him for the Ballymore, I think we can throw that ticket goodbye. Him and Wrexham are currently in the bin. We've got a bin over there. I might find my slip.
Facile Vega is a warm favourite for the Supreme after winning at Leopardstown over Christmas. What did you make of his run?
Yeah, I was underwhelmed, and I know some people were underwhelmed and they're now saying it was all fine. Like, I just don't think it was his best performance, to be honest. I think if you ran him against Illet Tomp a couple more times, I think he'd beat Illet Tomp nearly a furlong. Like, I think he's just a much better horse. Yeah. He just wasn't quite at his best. There was a little brief moment after the last where you're there going, Jesus, is this horse going to get beat? But pulled away in the end. Job done. Goes to the Dublin Racing Festival. I'd say wins there, goes to Cheltenham in the Supreme and wins there. Like, I just believe at this stage, people, like it's almost a trendy thing to do, Josh, at this stage on Twitter. You know, and I don't bite on Twitter.
You're biting in the video.
Yeah, but I do bite on videos. But like sometimes some people, like they say things just nearly for the sake of it, you know, because it's trendy to say, oh, I think a good horse will get beat. Well, you know, you're not Einstein. Like, you know, all these horses get beat at some stage. They're jumps horses. And I'm not saying Facile Vega, you know, I'm not going to put my house on him, but at the same stage, like, what beats him in the Supreme? I love Marine Nationale. I think Marine Nationale's quite clearly the second best 2 mile novice hurdler. I think could clearly finish maybe a clear second from third, but he still has to go and do it, to go and beat Facile, Vega. And to be honest, I think that from two of them will be miles clear.
Do you have to be scared of Tahmuras, the Tolworth winner, at all?
Well, no, you're just trying to make me bite even more here. Look, fair enough.
He will not be winning.
Well, yeah, fair enough to connections. Obviously, a syndicate winner. Great to see syndicate winners, having a grade 1. And Paul Nicholls has done very well with this horse, considering he didn't look especially special in bumpers last year.
If he's within 20 lengths of Facile Vega, anyone who wants to take that, I'll give. No, we won't put any bets on, but give me offers and I might accept some.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that form will end up being massively robust. Obviously, the Moore horse bombed out, the Henry de Bromhead horse bombed out. A little bit of a concern, I suppose, and a bigger picture really with these de Bromhead horses that now another one's gone over to England and performed deplorably. Now, I didn't fancy Arctic Brazil going into the weekend. I thought he was being slightly overhyped for beating Mercury, who's a horse I don't like at all. But at the same stage, I thought he'd run okay.
Yeah.
And he was beaten with 6 furlongs to go, and he's not the first one to do it.
How do you split the rest of Willie's chances? Because we've got Gaelic Warrior, who was going to run tomorrow at Clonmel. That meeting's been abandoned, so he's not going to run. I semi-expected him to go to the Moscow Flyer and take on Impair de Passe. He's going to run there, but he's going to have a very easy time of it. The race is dreadful, I think it's fair to say, outside of him. I think the Model Kingdom's a nice mare, but really, she won't be winning the mare's novice, probably.
No.
So if you look at those two, Gaelic Warrior and Impair de Passe and Facile Vega, do you see one of them stepping up to 2.5 miles and go for the Ballymore?
I'd have thought so. I think an awful lot will probably prove on the way that Impair de Passe travels and maybe even puts the race to bed on Sunday. I expect him to win. I expect him to win impressively.
If he doesn't, he won't be winning at Cheltenham.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost that. But second of all, you're probably looking for a performance like Dysart Dynamo put in the Moscow Flyer, where you're there going, this horse near on physically can't go back up to 2.5. That being said, he won his maiden hurdle and ace over 2-3 into a massive headwind. Like I was there that day, it would almost have gone through you. And he didn't have hurdles in the straight, which makes it more of a stamina test, more of a situation where you've got to go and stay, and he won easily. So I wouldn't see any issues with him being flexible at either 2 or 2.5. And why on earth would you put him in the 2 mile division if you have Facile Vega there? Gaelic Warrior's the horse I cannot understand, because he's near on being campaigned like they're going to have another swing at a handicap with him, which, to be honest, the way he won at Tramore, you'd kind of, like, I know it was a nothing race, but you'd go, you got to try this horse at graded level. But it seems like maybe they're thinking, we can win the Supreme with Facile Vega, we can win the Ballymore with Impair Pass, and actually we need to find another race for Gaelic Warrior, and that's where a County Hurdle or a Martin Pipe comes into play.
Well, I think he's rated 134 in Ireland. Is that correct? Something around there? So maybe they're thinking, if the English handicapper doesn't give him too much, could he get into a Martin Pipe? Could he get into a County Hurdle? He was entered in the Betfair Hurdle, for those that don't know. I think that's Willie just sounding out his British handicap mark. And if it is low enough, they might go there, although I doubt it. I think he will be seen again before Cheltenham, unless it's a ridiculously low handicap mark. But it's time now for Cheltenham Ante Post selections. I'm going to add another 2 to my list. You're going to add another 1. I'll go first with my first one, and that is another horse trained by Gordon Elliott. 4 from 4. Gordon has to have a good festival. If not, I'm in trouble. But this one, I'm relatively semi-confident about. Jerry Colombe at 9-1 for the Brown Advisory, the 3 mile Grade 1 Novices Chase. I was really impressed with him in the Faheen Novices Chase at Limerick over a distance that would be far too short for him. I know he appreciated the ground that day, but he did show a bit of speed that I didn't think he had, and I do think the further he goes, the better he'll be. I would imagine there's a chance he could run in the Flowgas at the Dublin Racing Festival if the ground comes up really soft, and I know Connections are thinking of doing that. And the 3 mile race at the Cheltenham Festival, if it's soft ground, I think he'll run. And 9-1. It wouldn't surprise me if he went off a short price favourite for that, because that race does look very open.
It does, and it doesn't really look like any stars in there, to be honest. It's been taken away a few decent horses that were looking to go down that route, the likes of the Nice Guy and Manila Cocooner's out now as well. Not that I would have backed him for this race, but I'd be in with that. That being said, you are really on the Gordon Elliott love-in train this year.
Yeah, no, I really am, and it was something that I was the same last year, and he let me down because he didn't have a particularly great festival. And when a trainer probably isn't in the greatest form going into Cheltenham, and you've put up, 8 or 9 Gordon Elliott horses, you're always going to struggle. But I do believe it'll be a different time this year. I'm not saying he's going to be top trainer or beat Willie, but I do think he'll have more winners than he did last year. I think he's got some really good novice chasers. What's your first? I'm supposed to pick this video. I know you've only got one.
Yeah, well, I've decided to bite the bullet here. I've got to let it go.
No, you didn't. You've not told me this one yet.
No, I haven't. And
you kept this nice and quiet. I always sometimes fill you in before and say, "What do you think of this?" just to get your opinion. But you've kept this one quiet. Why is that?
Yeah, because I know it's a horse you like. I know it's a horse I like, and it's a horse that we've talked about a lot. I think the division and the type of horses he's in and around have been near on the most discussed this jump season. And the horse I'm going to put up, a real firm favourite of mine, is Appreciated. But I'm putting him up at 10-1, and you can get 10-1 out there, for the Turner's Novices Chase over 2.5 miles. I think he's going to be the horse that steps up.
You think he'll be the horse that steps up? You've been saying that he's an Arkle horse for the majority of the season.
No,
I've been the one saying he needs to go up and trip, and now you've nicked that.
No, I think if you quote unquote, I say he's got an awful lot more speed than people give him credit for. You give him the credit for no speed. You at one stage told me that he could run in the National Hunt Chase.
I think he could.
Yeah, well, potentially so. Well, if he does that, he's certainly going to stay in the Turners over 2.5. I just look at the race now. I see that he's obviously run at Punchestown. He's run at Nath. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he doesn't run again until Cheltenham. Now, I know there's that possibility of the Irish Arkle, but
there's still time for a 10-up at a National Hunt Chase too.
Oh, Lord, I've heard it all at this stage. But I don't think Willie Mullins is going to run 4 in the Irish Arkle.
No.
He's already got El Fabiolo, who desperately needs to run in that race. He needs Dysart Dynamo to run in that race. And I think he'll run San Juan in the race just to get a feel.
Well, he's a Grade 1 winner over 2 miles at Christmas.
Exactly.
He should do, yeah.
Exactly. And he's got the form of Visionary and Phil Dore. So you know exactly where you are in comparison to maybe some of the other horses around the place as well. And Hollow Games for that matter. Not that Hollow Games would be winning the Arkle. But I believe, looking at the potential opposition, there is no way Willie Mullins doesn't win the Irish Arkle. Because I don't see any other 2-mile novice chaser trained by anyone else in Ireland that's going to win that race. And will the horse that wins that race not just automatically become pretty much #1 for the Arkle and Paul Townend's pick? Instead, you've got a situation where Appreciated may see that happen, and I think it's going to be a little bit like Sir Gerhard last year. And they're going to have a look at it and go, let's look at the Arkle. Do we really want to run Appreciated, let alone against our own two, potentially, in El Fabiolo and Dysart Dynamo, but also John Bon, who I know we've cribbed a bit, but certainly holds a very good level of form and is also an electric jumper for his likes. And then look at the 2.5 mile race. You've got Mighty Potter at the top of the market, and rightly so, but a horse that's blotted his copybook big time at Cheltenham last year. James de Burley in second favourite. I know it's going to be controversial. I just can't have him in the slightest bit, to be honest. He's a very fragile horse. He won on Chase debut impressively. But he's now going to have to go to the Dublin Racing Festival. He's going to have to prove it again. We don't know with James de Burley for certain whether he is that open Grade 1, that even novice Grade 1 horse, that we certainly know Appreciated is. He won a Supreme by 20 lengths. He went off 7-2 for the Champion Hurdle, despite not seeing him for 365 days, and he's unbeaten over fences. The Champion Hurdle being the only time he's been beaten since the Champion Bumper, which was 3-4 years ago by Fernie Hollow. He's just a really good horse. He wins all the time. He's 10-1 for a race that I think day by day is becoming more and more likely to be his target.
Yeah, but the one thing I would definitely say is if you look at Saint Roi, El Fabiolo and Dysart Dynamo and Appreciated, I think the one Willie Mullins would feel most comfortable stepping up to 2.5 is Appreciated, because he's an older horse, because he's always looked like he wouldn't stop. And the fact that he's not going to run in that Irish Arkle, so we might have a bit more time to prepare him. I love it. I genuinely look. I think Mighty Potter is a good horse, and he would definitely have to be of interest if a horse like Appreciated doesn't turn up. Of course. If the current market suggests Appreciated will go to the Arkle, Mighty Potter's race looks very, very weak, and you have to respect him in that. But if Appreciated runs in the 2.5 mile race, I'd be with you. I think he's better than Mighty Potter. my second Ante Post selection is a horse trained by Willie Mullins.
Oh, thank goodness.
Willie, I might have a winner now.
Yeah,
might have a winner. And it is Classical Dream at 8-1 for the Stayers Hurdle. I have a sneaky suspicion that him being declared non-runner over Christmas may not have been for the fact that he was a little bit lame in the morning, and it might just be Willie wanting to keep him fresh for a tilt at the Stayers Hurdle. We know his best form is when he is fresh. He's won a Supreme, he's won at Punchestown twice when he's fresh. He is a seriously good horse, and I do think he's a 3-miler, but you have to catch him on a going day, and the best opportunity he's going to have is being fresh. Flooring Porter last year finished second to him at Christmas, and I look at Flooring Porter this year, and I don't fancy him. I don't think he is that same horse of last year. I know he didn't win the race at Christmas last year, but he showed a bit more, whether this year he has been disappointing. Classical Dream going straight there. He won't run in the Galmoy Hurdle. I like his chances, and I think he'd be smaller than 8-1 on the day. So Classical Dream and Jerry Cologne for me, and Appreciate It in the Turners for Andrew. Sacrilege. Let's then move on to best bets for this weekend. I'll quickly fire through mine. I like Danny Kirwan at Kempton. He's 6-1 on Saturday in another race at Kempton, the Lanzarote. Harbour Lake for Alan King. He's 14-1 each way. I think there's a big handicap waiting for him, and I think Kempton will really, really suit him. Over at Warwick, and I'm going to be there. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to be doing race day for Racing TV. I like Galop de Chasse in the 2-mile handicap chase for Venetia Williams early on in the card. And then I like Grey Dawning in the Leamington Novices Hurdle. I know Skelton thinks Grey Dawning is a Grade 1 horse, and he probably wasn't expecting him to be beaten first time up at Aintree, but he's gone on to be quite impressive since. I know last time was a handicap at Kempton, but I think it was a good performance. He's always learning, and I don't think that race at the weekend is particularly strong. So Grey Dawning at 4-1, Galop de Chasse in the novice in the handicap chase, at Harbour Lake at 14-1, and Danny Kirwan at 6-1 in the 3-mile handicap chase. I know Nichols also has Enrillo entered, but I'm not 100% sure he will run. So Danny Kirwan for me, they're my 4. Your best bets are?
Yeah, well, I don't mind those 4, Josh, but the ones just before I get on to my 2, if Danny Kirwan was trained by anyone other than Paul Nichols, you're not putting him up.
I do. I think he's a very good run at Ascot last time.
Oh, geez, he's an absolute mule. Like,
well, we will see, won't we, this weekend?
Yeah, well, hopefully he needs cheek pieces, blinkers, and the lot, that horse, because I've done my dough on him.
Well, the last time you gave out to me about a horse that I quite fancied, it went and won at 20-1 the other day.
Yeah, no, I had an absolute stinker. First day in the office. No, sorry, second day in the office. Josh comes in. He says he's backing this Neil Mulholland horse in the first at Doncaster. 20
Feel Good Inc.
Feel Good Inc. 20-1. You know, he's had no form in a bumper. You know, and a very average third in a bumper or something like that. Won easy.
It did indeed.
Yeah, so I should learn my lesson. But Danny Kirwan, I've done my dough on him, so best of luck with him. I've only got the 2 from Punchestown on Sunday. I had a nag at Clonmel, but it's been all turned over. The Bantown girl was an absolute cert in the maiden hurdle. But anyway, in the 145 competitive 2.5 mile mares handicap hurdle, horse called Ballybourne Belter, very eye-catching run over 2 miles last time out, was 5th on that occasion under a tenderly handled ride from Mark Walsh. Needs to go up in trip, very well handicapped, good bumper form from last year as well. And in the final race, the Amateur Riders Handicap Chase, won by John Adams last year, a horse we backed last year in the race. He runs in it again, but I don't really like him too much in this race. I think he's being tilted towards maybe a run in the Latouche Cup at the end of the year at Punchestown over the banks. Instead, I've been praying and wishing for Balquito to be coming back out over fences this year. Had an okay run in a handicap hurdle back in November time on ground that was too quick. He's a soft, heavy ground horse. We're going to get that. There's an awful lot of rain in Ireland at the moment. I'd say Finney Maguire, who usually rides Barry Connell's horses in these amateur riders races, will ride him. I think he's got an awfully big chance.
Very best of luck. We do hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please hit that like button. We smashed 500 likes on the previous video. If we could do that again, that'd be absolutely brilliant. We'll look forward to reading all of your comments, and to let us know if you have any thoughts for the flat. Can we decorate it in a racing way? I think we're going to put a Let's Talk Racing sign there, so that's something that you can look forward to. We'll see you soon.